You're listening to The Telly. It's your old mate DJ Paine here, and I am absolutely thrilled because on the other end of the Zoom line, I've got Mr. Rod Hopping. Now, I don't even know what your title is anymore, mate. Are you the boss of Heritage Films, Movie Change People, Wonder App? What do we call you?
Oh, look, just call me Rod, DJ. That's the only thing I really know how to answer to. But and look at both of us rocking beards. You're like me. Have you got a distribution issue with hair? It's not a growth issue.
Yeah, it all migrated south down here. That's it. Also helps out with the profile and the chin as well.
I know. Yes, I get that. I hear you. Moving right along.
Now, I want to talk to you today because, and I'm excited to be able to have this conversation with you, because you're coming to me, besides all the movie stuff that you do, today I want to talk to you as a fan of the new movie that's just out in cinemas now, Father Stu. And
I am a fan, let me tell you. I've been at this for 18 years, DJ.
Yeah.
Father Stu's going to go down in probably my top 5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it surprised me. It surprised me because the movie itself, globally, hasn't had a lot of fanfare or awareness. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, if you think back to Passion of the Christ days, where that thing had like this burn for so long before it came out, there was so much pent-up interest in it.
Yes.
This movie's just kind of like, and I'm guessing, COVID's done weird things for everybody.
Yep.
It's just kind of come a bit out of the blue, and it's really shocked and beautifully surprised me as to how much I love this movie for so many different reasons.
Okay, well, let's get, because, I've got to admit, and a lot of time when you're talking to radio people and you're talking to press people and you're on media different things, the media person will pretend that they've seen it or they pretend that they've read the book or whatever. I'm going to be honest here and say, I haven't seen it yet. I didn't get to an advanced screening. I didn't get to, check it out early. It's just opened up in cinemas yesterday. And so what I'm thinking is I want you to convince me as a good old-fashioned Baptist boy to go see this movie about a Catholic guy. Why should I go see it?
Firstly, you and I sound like we need to go to the same support groups. Do you know what? Firstly, Mark Wahlberg is just somebody who's a much loved actor and human being out there. I think a plethora of movies that he's been in, and you just can't help but lean into him. He's just a nice guy, and this is his passion project. How cool to kind of like look over the fence, as it were, and see what an A-lister does if he or she wants to tell a story that they're passionate about, put their own money in it, produce it, act in it. And that's what Mark Wahlberg's done with Father Stu. He was out to dinner, I believe, with a couple of priests from his parish, and they were basically telling him about this man, Stuart Long, Father Stu, from another parish, another diocese, I believe. And he just like, man, I have to make the story. He fell in love with it. It became his passion project. And I mean, one of the reasons it's going to slot into one of my top films, I'm a sucker for true stories. I'm a sucker for, because I can lean into a true story and I can see my journey in there, and I can get something from it that is so applicable.
Well, straight away, it adds a whole level of drama and tension because someone lived through this. Now, I'm fascinated with it. I'm already, I got to be honest with you. I'm dying to see it. Mel Gibson, one of my favourites, Aussie Mel Gibson. Also got Aussie Jackie Weaver in here, who I'm a massive fan of as well. So already I'm like, this is fascinating. But I do have, and I have been contacted, and I've got to be honest with you, I have been contacted and going, DJ, is this some sort of, because I've let people know, hey, why don't we all go see Father Stu together? And some people have gone, hey, is this some sort of Catholic trick? Am I going to be, all of a sudden I see Father Stu and then the next minute I'm kissing the ring of the Pope or putting up a Virgin Mary somewhere? Is there, as an evangelical believer, what did you think going into this?
Look, I think that when you see that the story, the basis of the story has got a lot to do with pain, suffering, and loss, and a deep dive into those heavy subjects. you can throw denominations out the window from my perspective. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but we're talking about the human condition here, and we're talking about a really rich exploration of one man and what he kind of suffered along the way. He didn't ask for these things to happen. Nobody asks for, the smorgasbord of suffering, as it were. But when it happens, you've got choices, don't you? And the choices he made along the way are quite profound. I found myself going, I don't think I could do what he's doing. No, I can't. Look, I can't believe that's happened.
Yeah.
And, this is, I've been saying to people, I think it's the movie for us right now.
Wow.
Now, we're all doing pretty good in Australia. We've been pretty well looked after through COVID, but there's a heaviness and a darkness in the season we're in that usually we go through seasons individually. We've all been in the one season together. We've come kind of starting to come out of it, but the world won't be the same again. There's a presence of war in the globe. There's a general heaviness. And I think for us to see a story about somebody who's navigated some of life's heaviest things and what they did with it, and the way it changed them, the way it changed those around them. I don't want to give too much away because there's some spoilers here that I think people, for me, laugh out loud movie.
Yeah.
And also wept,
Wow.
like in fact, one of the people that we surveyed said, you're going to laugh out loud and cry a river of tears. That's a really good summary. And we did hold screenings to a lot of, a couple of thousand people around the country. 92% of the audience we surveyed said they'd recommend the film to somebody else. So that's interesting.
Wow, that is high. Okay, couple more questions about Father Stu for you. Number one, I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to films. This is first-time director, and she's written a couple of projects as well. Rosalind Ross. What is her story? She seems to have come out of nowhere and has done this, has done Father Stu out of nowhere, written and directed it. First-time director there. She's got some big names there. Do you know any story behind her?
I believe she's Mel Gibson's partner, so that may be a little bit of insight for us.
Okay.
So I think when I've been seeing them promoting the film, often on sort of stage or being interviewed together, you'll find Mark, Mel, and Rosalind together. So. I believe she's the only non-Catholic in the mix there. That's what I've seen in interviews. Okay. Go see the story Mel Gibson tells through his character. It'll completely and utterly do you in again.
Wow.
Around firstly his performance, but the story he tells of Father Stu's father in real life, and in they lost a child. Jackie Weaver's the mum, Mel Gibson's the dad. You've got this picture of absolute brokenness of two people who've lost a son at an early age. And it's really beautiful to see what happens in that thing. But so Rosalind, I think she's done a stellar job. I think, in fact, so much so I've heard Mark Wahlberg talk about doing a multi-picture kind of thing with her. He's so impressed with her as well.
Wow.
So that says a lot for her abilities.
Wow, that is awesome. First time director being able to work with these people. What an absolute phenomenal job. Okay, last question about Father Stu, and I'll give you the final word here because I'm dying to see it. I'm dying to take a bunch of people with me to go see it. Is it appropriate? Is it the type of film? Because there's some Christian films that come out and they are all about, hey, invite your non-Christian friend and it'll be something to get the conversation. Other Christian films, it's like, no, this has been made for the Christian audience. Let's just, keep it between us. Where are you putting this one?
One of the things that's worth pointing out to your audience, there's a lot of language in this film.
Oh, okay.
In fact, right out the gates, we've been saying to people, if you're put off by a fairly constant presence of language in a movie, you may be offended.
Okay.
But here's the beauty of even saying that to the audience who knows us and I think enjoys what we do. That 92% rating is pretty profound. One of the highest ratings we've had, and there are a lot of people filled a survey out after having watched the film. And so to me, if you want to take a friend, a mate, a family member, to see something that is deeply engaging, highly entertaining, well-made with actors that they recognise, and that actually delves into the human condition in a way, and I think really is an honourable presentation to stuff that you're going to hold precious. This is a gift to us, and you know us, DJ, we're not really in the come to faith and everything should be right kind of a story.
Yes.
We don't get involved with that content. We often like to explore the messiness of life, but there's real beauty in doing that. It's in fact, that's where the beauty is found. It's not so found on the mountaintops. We really enjoy that sense of belonging and community when we're feeling isolated and lonely. And so this is something I reckon you can take your friends to. Shout them a ticket too. I mean, who can say no to a free ticket to the movie? So
I love it. Take your friends along. So warning, not for tender ears. Not for tender ears if you've got an issue with language, maybe not for you, but for people who can get through that, or people who've been through the storm a few times themselves. This is a good film. All right, we're going to talk more about Father Stu later on down the track, but Rod, if you can stick around, I've got some more questions about what you guys do, from your headquarters up there in beautiful Queensland. So stick around and we'll come back in just a moment. It's your old mate DJ here, and I'm with Rod Hopping. We've just been talking about Father Stu, and keep on listening to the show because we're going to talk about actually all going to the movies together and seeing it. If you want to get along and come out with the community and get along and see Father Stu. Now, Rod, we've known each other for a while through the industry, and it's always great to catch up with you. And I love what you and the team, do from up there. You are how do I describe what you do? You've got heritage films under your title. You've got Movies Change People is one of the the mission statements that you have, and then you've got this new app Wonder as well. Are you just the Christian movie person in Australia? What do you call yourself?
I hope not. In fact, they're two words that you'll never see us on our website, or Christian and movie, because it's I don't know.
It's got a bit of a stigma to it. It's got a bit of a stigma to it. Yeah. Well, it doesn't. I think we'd have to probably spend a couple of hours chatting for you to know more about my story and what shaped me. And at the core of me, DJ, I've desperately needed hope to be a constant presence in my life. I've needed to be able to wade through some deep stuff, to think that there's a purpose and meaning because of it, or to see just a glimmer of light in what would have been dark moments. Wow.
And I feel like, I don't think stuff happens by accident. I think we're also, involved in the choices and decisions and the places we find ourselves as well. And so I think for me, I love the power of story. For me, it's how I learn. This started we've been at it for 18 years now, and this started way before that with a niggle about I'd get more out of watching a movie than I would going to church. And I'd sort of like, am I the weird guy out here? I watched Braveheart and I'd go, man, I want freedom to be a theme in my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to live with freedom from there's so many people under the tyranny of evil, if you like, here around me, poverty, human trafficking, stuff like that. And so the way I've been shaped and the kind of stories that we love to bring into the country and share with people typically are stories where there'll be a lot of them are true stories, but there's a way to find ourselves in the story. And I think we want to invite people to feel like they belong. I love, if I could summarize it it's one scene from one movie that everybody will know, and it's Forrest Gump, and it's little Forrest as a boy. He's walking on the bus.
Yep.
He's got his leg braces on, and nobody wants him to sit with him. And then he says, and then I heard the sweetest voice I've ever heard, and it was little Jenny saying, "You can sit with me if you wanna."
Yep. And
literally, I think we all walk weirdly, DJ. I think all of us think we're the only ones that walk weird, but I like to think most of us are like the rest of us. We've all got a weirdness about how we walk in life, and we feel like that hinders us in a way. And I just want to share stories and call out to people, you can sit with us if you want to. And in that kind of messaging, it's where people can maybe find some context to their story or their weird walk and feel like they belong.
Wow.
Because I've discovered that, and I've needed to know that I belong to make sense at times. And so that's a really broad and quite generic summary of why we do what we do, but it's about sharing stories that can help people feel that way. Does that help? Does that make sense?
I'm totally on board, buddy. I'm loving that. So practically, the outworking of that passion in your heart is, wanting to, help distribute films, sometimes bring, bring films and movies out, to Australia, partner with big mainstream ones as well, and, give attention to them. But in this modern times where, the once thriving DVD business, or, even before that, there was, the reels of film, all these different things. Now we live in the age of streaming and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Telstra TV and all these other things. How do you compete with that? How do you guys compete with the industry as it is now?
It's always been really difficult for us to compete as an independent, and I think DVDs used to be about 70% of everything we did.
Wow!
But we could see that cliff coming, as it were. But I think to give you an example, one day many years ago, I had two meetings in Sydney. One in the morning with one of the largest mainstream retailers in the country with one DVD, and they told me to go away. They wouldn't be selling the DVD because it was too Christian.
Okay.
And I went across town to a DVD buyer at the largest Christian bookstore chain in the country, and it was the same movie. They said, "Look, we can't stock it. It's not Christian enough for us."
Wow.
That really sums up kind of, I think, over the years where we fit in, because of that space. I think it's a really growing and underserved part of our community.
I've got to ask you, what was the movie? Everyone's asking the question right now. What was the film? Are you allowed to say?
I can't remember. I should have framed it. I should have framed it.
There's a few films that fit into this. Okay, so that market has fallen out, and you're in this middle land there. So how do you reach people these days?
Well, we thankfully we've always done some cinema work. We bring movies into the country, and if some of them are our passion projects, and we really want to elevate them, we'll do our best to do a cinema release. And we've done that with a bunch of films. We brought Brian Welsh from Corn out to Australia once because there's a movie called Loud Crazy Love. It's his story. Great example. Documentary, a little bit different to, the narrative stuff, but a good example of when we decide we want to lift something up. So we go into cinemas. That was fun. Probably more than 70% of the audience were Corn fans, covered in tats and pierced all over. I loved it. The beautiful people.
Yeah.
And but then COVID really kind of killed the cinema business for us. And those two or three kind of releases a year for us, DJ, in cinema, fairly critical. I've got to say, they're critical at so many levels. They keep our team busy. They're a part of our machine, but they also are a part of branding who we are to the cinema world, the movie industry, and the general public. So in this space, everyone had to go online with everything. So we built a streaming platform to be the space where we could say, if you want to know who we are, what we do and what we're passionate about, this is a curated collection of content that best represents the Movies Change People, passion, family, and catalogue of content. And so we built Wonder. It was really challenging but rewarding to see what was possible in this COVID space, and I'm really thrilled with it. And it now becomes, is it a competitor to Netflix? Well, Netflix have deep pockets and deep catalogues. I think what we're wanting to do is find a curated streaming environment where, again, you feel that sense of welcome. You have to be entertained. If we don't entertain you, you'll flick us in seconds, like we all tend to do. But you hopefully find something there that is different, that you feel a sense of connection, a sense of uplift in your life, and that adds value to who you are.
Okay, so the streaming platform is called Wonder, spelt like, I'm living in a land of wonder. This is, a time of wonder. How do people access this? Is it on there? Do you get it on your apps? Do you get it on the boxes? Is it free to wear? Where do you find we've got so many different platforms wanting our attention. How do we get a hold of Wonder?
Yeah, Wonder is both a transactional and subscription platform. So in other words, transactionally, you can go and rent our movies. You can find our collection and rent them under time, but you can also go in and try the whole catalogue for 14 days for free in a subscription space, which we all understand. Awesome. It's that Netflix model, just a little cheaper than Netflix as well. But it's at Wonder.watch. It's a pretty easy URL, Wonder.watch. There's also an app you can download, an iOS app, and we're just in the process of building the Android app and the smart TV apps. We're kind of ramping up for quite a launch. It's out there. It's ready now. You can go and try us now for free, and a good number of people have given it a shot, which is great to see.
Great. So coming soon, watch this space. There's going to be a bigger launch of All Things Wonder.
Absolutely. Yep,
okay.
For sure.
Well, listen, you've got to keep us in the loop here, us and the tele community, around the world. We would love to be, a part of that, bigger launch. We'd love to get behind you. I love the mission statement behind you and the team. And I just appreciate your ministry, here in Australia. It's been fantastic.
We're working on some launch plans at the moment across Asia. And so we're looking at the region as a starting point. Our platform is currently being used in Asia by a dear friend of ours who's based in Singapore and has a similar heart and mission for us. So it's pretty exciting, has great potential. But you're right, with these kind of streaming platforms, there is no limit to but content is generally licensed by regions, and so that's how we will grow and expand what Wonder does. But definitely Australia, New Zealand right now.
Awesome, fantastic. Hey, listen, buddy, you've been so generous with your time. Thank you very much for getting in contact us. I am going to put you on the hotspot and say this is the first time we're chatting to Rod on the telly, not the last time, because I want to get you on. And, more frequently, and tell us about what's coming up. Keep us in the loop. And we want to do some screenings down here as well. If there's a particular film that you're passionate about, Rod, we'd love to do a special screening and get our community out there and, support you guys.
DJ, thank you. Your enthusiasm's always been just such a gift to us, and I know it will be to your audience as well. So I hope we can, continue to work together in this space, because it's very exciting.